There's nothing funny about serial killing.
No, and I think the fact that you are making light of it now, actually, Neil, is extremely offensive.
All right, welcome to episode 7 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast. This week is Mega City 4, and we're speaking to Gerry Bryant. So, got a good interview with Gerry coming up. But before we get into the interview, let's just have a little bit of a chat about Mega City 4. Luke, do you want to take it away?
I will. I'll try. I'm a little bit nervous about this one because I know there's a lot of Mega City 4 experts in the group, in the Facebook group, and I'm
worried a bit worried about that as well. But I'm sure we'll do our best. That's all we can do.
We'll do our best. Any mistakes, I apologise for.
We always caveat all of these episodes with we're by no means claim to be experts. We just enjoy the music at the time. So we're well aware that many of you probably know much more about Mega City 4 than we do, but we will do our best.
Yeah,
anyway.
I think on this episode we'll let the interview do most of the talking today because it's
exactly.
a fun interview. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
But I'll give you my usual rundown. So Mega City 4, pop punk band, I guess. That's how he described them himself. So
and I think that's a fair description.
Gerry, today's guest, he was a founding member, so formed in 1987 officially, although they'd kind of been in like bands together since like 1982, since the early 80s. But
Right.
Mega City 4 itself didn't form until 87. We've got the lineup of WIZ and Danny Brown, the brothers, guitar and vocals and then guitar. Gerry on the bass, and then a guy called Chris Jones on drums. 1989, debut album. I'm not sure about this title. Well, it's called Transphobia.
Yeah, transophobia, I think.
Oh, is it? Have I been misreading that for the last 30 years?
Well, I was...
you're right, transophobia. You're right.
Yeah, I wasn't sure either. So it's an easy... I'm sure they're not transphobic. That's for sure.
No.
Just an invented word then.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe they made it up.
A listener will comment and tell us what it's about, won't they?
Gerry, if you're listening, or anyone else from Mega City 4, if you can tell us the reason for the naming of that album. Or, if you're a fan and you know, then let us know in the comments. Because we clearly don't fucking know.
And Google doesn't know, so there you go. I mean, he talks about it in the interview, but kind of part of that scene with like Senseless Things and Snuff, and just kind of forming around that time, playing with each other. Second album, Who Cares Wins, in 1990. We mentioned it briefly in our Wang. They moved to a major label for their next album. It was called Sebastopol Road.
I discovered Mega City 4 quite late on, actually. I think when I went to university, so that would have been 95. So I kind of missed them when they were in their prime. Somebody introduced me to Sebastopol Road, is it? I can't remember how I can always pronounce it wrong. And I fucking love that album. Ticket Collector, the first song on it, is my favourite Mega City 4 track. That's got Stop on it as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's on there. Yeah. Miles Apart is on there as well. I think that, for me, that seems to be the most famous. I'm not sure, but I think like that album's like widely considered to be like their magnum opus. They're kind of their masterpiece.
Gerry talks about it in the interview that that's the one that he was most proud of, I think. So
yeah, and I think by fans as well, it's kind of widely acknowledged. I think in the Facebook group there was people putting their favourite Mega City 4 tunes on there, and I had to look through, like most of them came from Sebastopol Road, basically the ones that people were nominating as their favourite. So they're the real fans, and that's what they were nominating. So I think it's a bit more poppy and a bit more polished than their previous albums, but it basically totally worked, right?
Oh yeah, it's a great album, great album. When you introduced them earlier, you sort of said pop punk, and I think that kind of that album especially. That's what it is. It's really poppy.
Lots of melodies.
It's got quite a pop vocal, Wiz, I think. But it's got this really sort of driving guitar as well, which is
which gives it the punk edge, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, it's a great description of the band, I think.
But I've got a question. So we've talked about Grebo bands. Are they not a Grebo band?
Well, they would have been lumped in that Grebo scene, I guess.
The Grebo, it's not really a kind of music.
But I think you're right, Dave. Yeah, it's just like a load of bands that kind of got lumped in with the... I think they were just kind of playing together. There wasn't that much similarity in the sounds, right? Although they were all kind of like melodic, I think. They all had a bit of a pop sensibility about them, but they just did it in different ways, I think.
Yeah, you know, sort of Pop Polite itself and Mega City 4 are two very different sounding bands, but they've still got a similar sort of British mentality, I guess, similar song subjects.
And they've got the hooks and the melodies, right? But they don't sound anything like each other. Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. It was more sort of a movement than an actual sound, I guess.
But same with anything, right? You know, there's a huge difference between like, you know, Nirvana and Soundgarden. They don't really sound like each other, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, any scene that comes along, there's bands on the fringe that kind of get sucked into that scene, and you know, often they don't really sound like some of the bands that...
What started the scene in the first place, you mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's another album after that. I think they, not on a major label, I think that one. And yeah, they broke up in 1996. So I guess 87 to 96, which, yeah, nearly 10 years, which is pretty decent for a band, I guess. But seems quite short now, I guess. I don't know.
What we talk about it a bit in the interview, and we talked about it with Ben from the Senseless Things, is they're just playing live all the time. So although 6 or 7 years, yeah, maybe in the lifespan of a band isn't a long time, the amount of sort of gigs they did back then is probably a lot more than some of the bands around now, you know.
Yeah, they packed a lot in. Like WIZ moved to Canada after they broke up and formed a band called the Doughboys, who I've never listened to, but I need to, I guess. And then, yeah, he died 10 years later, so 2006. He died from a blood clot on the brain.
Fucking hell.
Quite sudden.
Yeah.
Like guy from the Beatles.
Stuart Sutcliffe. Yeah.
Similar.
I was going to say his name, but I thought I might accidentally say the serial killer.
What's his name? Peter Sutcliffe. Yeah.
They're not to be confused.
I bet he did play a mean bass, though.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Sutcliffe is renowned for his bass lines, as well as his murders. He's the Yorkshire Ripper, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. We won't
sounds
use that
right.
bit, then.
No, that sounds credible. It sounds credible. Ripper's a funny name to give a serial killer, isn't it? I don't like that. It's very visceral kind of image comes up, doesn't it?
And he did a lot of horrible things, but at no point I don't think he probably ripped anything.
No, he probably didn't.
It makes him sound like a comic book character, doesn't it? Calling him Ripper.
And it was far from comical. There's nothing funny about serial killing.
No, and I think the fact that you are making light of it now, actually, Neil, is extremely offensive.
I'm obsessed with serial killers, not like in a good way, but I like watching the programmes.
Oh man, you're not a true crimes podcast person, are you?
No, but the human psyche, I find it quite fascinating getting into these people's minds, their dark places. Back to Mega City 4.
So Gerry, get back to Gerry, our star of the show. So when they broke up, basically he worked as a manual labourer for a while.
They sort of went from 1 minute, literally the next day, they did a gig, and then the next day they're all sort of, 3 of the band were labourers on this building site. It must be such a sort of come down.
What's the come down? The being in the band or working on the building site?
You get from doing all this cool stuff with bricks and mortar and stuff, and then you have to go and play a gig in the evening.
But he retrained as an engineer, and now he runs a studio in Farnborough, and he does like stuff for touring bands and gigs and stuff like that. And it seems to be in a good place now, right? It seemed to be on good form when we spoke to him. Yeah,
he's still involved in music, which I think is quite important to him. So,
and I'll just finish off by saying, so there's an organisation called Forward for WIZ, which we talk about in the interview, which is really cool. It's an organisation set up in the memory of WIZ that basically helps new bands to get stuff done. Basically, if they need like a help up, a little bit of extra money to make a video, or a bit of studio time or something like that, they just help out.
That's great, isn't it?
With that, it's really cool.
What a fitting tribute that is. I mean, I didn't know much about it, but it's a great little organisation. So yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes if anyone wants to check it out. Well, actually, just go and check it out. Have a look. And yeah, show some support because they put on gigs and do all sorts of fundraising stuff. So
Yeah, I think like they're responsible for like reissuing T-shirts and stuff, and then like the profits of it go back into the organisation and stuff like that. Just lots of cool stuff, and yeah, I like shit like that. You know.
Me too.
That's it really. They've still got a pretty strong following. Yeah, I mean, just dip into Facebook or whatever, and there's the guys on our Facebook page. They do Mega Fishy 4, who are like a cover band for Mega City 4 songs. The videos they've posted so far, they look really, really cool. So yeah. It's all good.
I mean,
it's all good.
Yeah, from starting this podcast and setting up that group, obviously the interviews we put together, we love the bands that we're interviewing. That's why we've got in contact with them. But like, yeah, there's loads of love in there for Mega City 4, Senseless Things, all of those bands, Compulsion that are coming on next week. And it's just really nice to see these communities, people that still listen to the music. They're still really passionate about it.
Can I just admit, I never heard of them. Never heard of Mega City 4.
Right, so you'd never heard of them?
No.
But now you've had a listen, though, haven't you, this week?
Yeah, obviously I've had a listen. But I don't remember either of you two talking about them either at the time.
No, well, like I say, I didn't find them until much later on, I have to admit, like 95, I reckon. Like I kind of missed it all. Even when I was listening to the Senseless Things, I kind of knew the name Mega City 4, but I never really gave it a good listen. I probably heard of some of the music. Yeah, it wasn't until I got to university that I gave it a good go. I don't know about you, Luke. You might have listened to them back in the day.
I knew Sebastopol Road. I did. But yeah, I wasn't expert by any means. Yeah.
That's why Luke sort of said at the start that we're aware that there's people that, were diehard Mega City 4 fans from the go. And we don't offend them by getting any of this wrong, but we're doing our best.
I tell you what, though, like interviewing Gerry and kind of listening back and then going back to the albums that I missed, like doing research and stuff, it's made me like a big fan of them. I think
that's
it.
Really good. Yeah.
I agree. But Dave, you had a listen before today, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be down on them too much, but I didn't like it that much, to be honest.
Why? What about them did you hate so much?
I didn't hate them.
Gerry's not going to be happy. He came on, he gave us an hour of his time, and you
shit all over him. Who the fuck do you think you are, Dave?
If we'd have known, we would have just done it us two this week. We thought he'd come on and give some sensible feedback.
You can cut this out if you want, but
this is going in.
This is gold.
We should be honest, I suppose. The thing that let it down for me really was the vocals.
Okay, he has got quite a distinctive voice, and it's not going to be for everyone. That's fair enough.
Yeah, I mean he could sing, but it's just a bit weak for me.
I don't think we should shy away from giving our opinions in these. Preludes to interviews,
not. Sure.
That's fair enough. It's not going to be for everyone. We fucking hate the Lighthouse family, and we're quite open about it. Do you know what I mean?
And when we interview them, then we'll say the same thing in the run up to it,
But yeah, no, that's the beauty. We say it all the time, but that is the beauty of music: is it is subjective, and not everyone's going to like the same thing.
That's fair enough, mate. That's a reasonable critique.
And if you'd have told us beforehand, we could have just like I said, just done it us two and not wasted our time.
I welcome that the criticism was good.
So do I. Good. So I think it's a good thing. We've got to be honest in what we like and what we don't like. Otherwise, what's the point?
All right, Dave, do you want to introduce the
band you hate?
If you can bring yourself to do it.
Well, this interview, it was Luke and Neil doing it. It was one of the first ones we did, I think.
The second one we did, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I've listened to it a couple of times now. I really enjoyed it. It kind of gets to the essence of what this is about, because it's just a really nice informal chat with a very nice guy. I think it was a really good one, and I think people will enjoy it. So here it is.
All right, Gerry, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on. How's things in Gerry's world?
Okay at the moment. Do you want the short version or the long version?
Up to you, man.
You choose.
Well, the medium version is I've got 4 days off. That's why I was a little bit tired this morning. Had a bit of a mini party with my missus last night because I've been away for a week. I've just got over a 3-month, some kind of weird illness that I got just before Christmas.
And not the old COVID.
I think it might have been COVID too, yeah.
Right.
But now the sun's shining, got a few days off, and I haven't got to go away again until Friday, so feeling pretty good.
Nice.
All right. On the off chance that any of our listeners don't know who you are, I'm sure they do, but can you just introduce yourself quickly? Is that okay?
My name's Gerry Bryant. I was born in Portsmouth in 1965. And I played bass, formed a band and played bass in a band called Mega City 4. Well, various bands before that, but most notably Mega City 4 between 1987 and about 1995.
Brilliant. Can you tell us a bit about the early days of the band? Because
sorry, go on.
That's it. I mean, you were right there, right from the start with WIZ, right? When the band started. So can you tell us a bit about how it started?
Danny, his younger brother, who's also in the band, we were best mates at school from 11 years old.
So were we. Me and Neil were best mates at school from 11.
Yeah, there you go.
Have a fight the first time you met?
Nah, we were more like lovers, not fighters, I think.
We were.
Not together, but, you know.
Me and Danny Brown had a fight because he was just being a pain in the arse. He was following me back from school with his pea shooter gun, firing at my legs because I had short shooters. Yeah. In the end, I turned around and went, "Leave it out, mate." And we had a little scuffle.
Do they still have pea shooters?
It was like a gun.
Sure. Yeah. Mid-70s, Neil. Come on. Pea shooters. Yeah.
Pea shooters, yeah.
So, I don't know. And then after that, we were best friends for life, really. Obviously, he lived with WIZ. WIZ used to sit in his room all day playing guitar, being really antisocial,
right.
Much to the annoyance of his father, especially. And then, obviously, when he went out doing whatever he did, we used to sneak in there and play his guitar and pretend that we didn't. And eventually got our own guitars. I formed a band called Stallion at school. And then after that, formed a band with WIZ and Danny called Capricorn.
Right.
That's their star sign.
Nice.
Gotcha. The drummer left and we got Chris in and we formed Mega City 4. Yeah, beginning of 87, I think it was. That's the story.
Was the start of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Farnborough, you're based, isn't it?
Yeah, we formed in Farnborough. Obviously, I'm originally Portsmouth.
Right, yeah.
The Brown brothers were London, Tooting, and Chris was from Basingstoke. And we all, at the time, me and the Brown brothers were living in Farnborough, but Chris was still in Basingstoke.
Yeah.
So we used to practice at the Railway Enthusiast Club in Farnborough.
Nice.
Which was quite funny. Sometimes we'd show up and they still had their train sets set up. And they'd have their timetables and they all dressed like station conductors, conductors and waving flags around and beep. They were running the trains to an actual timetable.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was very cheap and nice and spacious, so we had a good time there.
Did you all have we all listened to the similar sorts of music at the time? Did that sort of bring you together, or?
Yeah, very much so.
What sort of bands were you into?
Metal. I got into punk first of all, and then got into metal. AC/DC, Motorhead, Rush.
Right.
And the Brown brothers were. WIZ was really into Deep Purple, Black Sabbath.
Okay, yeah.
Rush.
Yeah.
That's metal. So in the 80s, we were real metalheads. Went to Amphipodian. All the bands there, Motorhead, UFO, Thin Lizzy, you name it. Everyone apart from Van Halen, I think. Diamond Head, new wave of British heavy metal, all that.
Yeah. That's surprising to hear. That doesn't come across in the sound of Mega City 4.
It doesn't really. I think later on in the 80s, we were starting to get influenced by, Husker Du, Replacements.
Yeah,
the
American lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Bad Brains, Minor Threat, Fugazi,
Same.
that kind of stuff. So really, I guess it's like pop punk, which is what we were, I suppose. And then later turned out we were an indie band apparently, but we we were literally just a pop punk band,
Yeah, I think we spoke to Ben from the Senseless Things last week, and he said a similar thing. He cited a few of the similar bands as well. So
yeah,
I guess that's.
So how was it when that kind of scene started coming together, and you found there were other bands like you that were playing that kind of music, and you could tour with and stuff?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. We discovered the Senseless Things purely by chance. We went to see a band called the Milk Monitors play at the Hampton.
Yeah, Ben mentioned them as well, I think.
Hampton Court Jolly Boatman. Yeah, and they were great, just fucking 3-minute pop tunes, but with balls,
Yeah.
Something that hadn't happened since punk in the 70s, really. But like obviously better production, not so tinny.
Yeah.
Actually singing instead of shouting.
Yeah.
So they were just giving out flyers at the Hampton Court Jolly Boatman. Milk Monitors. Can't remember if they were playing that day or not. But anyway, we went to see them because we loved the Milk Monitors.
Yeah.
And Mark was really friendly, and Cass was there, I think.
Yeah.
And we had a good chat with them. Then we went to see them. And I think at the time we just started being played on John Peel, so they kind of heard of us. I think we'd heard them on John Peel. And we just started doing gigs together, and it was a real joy. Us, Senseless Things, and then eventually Snuff sort of joined in, although they didn't really fit in with. Senseless Things were a cross between us and Snuff,
Yes, yeah.
We were probably a bit namby-pamby for Snuff. They were like
really?
proper punk,
I don't know. I mean, when you do a Shake and Vac advert as a cover, I don't know if you can call yourself proper punk, but yeah.
So it was good fun. Yeah, I must admit, it was really good fun meeting that lot and did loads of gigs with them. Downstairs in the basement, Clarendon.
Yeah, Ben always, but he said about those downstairs gigs at the Clarendon. He said they were like some of his favourite gigs.
Same here.
Yeah.
The Wimbledon Labour Club with Snuff. That was a classic.
Yeah.
Did it feel like at the time that something was changing in like UK guitar music? Did it feel like you were like part of something?
I don't know. Not really. No, not to be honest, not really.
You were just doing your thing and
just doing our thing. Yeah. I mean, this has come up time and time again over interviews I've done, and people are like, it sounds really cheesy saying we were doing it just for the music. But all we did was just form a band and go out and wanted to play live to as many people as possible, so we didn't have to go to work.
Well, yeah, I think because it's a hard old slog back then as well. Ben was saying they did like they were doing like 120 gigs a year in a van, just driving from venue to venue, just slogging it out, sort of thing.
They were part timers. We did 175 one year.
There you go.
Well, what happened was we'd go out on tour for a month, and our agent Paul Bolton, who used to do Senseless Things and Neds as well and all that lot, we were a dream for him because he'd just get people ringing him up saying, "Oh, we want Mega City 4 to play at this university or that polytechnic or this club in Bordeaux or Italy," and he'd go, "Yeah, they'll be up for it. They just want to play anywhere." So we would go away for a month and come home, 3 or 4 months later.
Yeah,
he'd just keep adding gigs on the end.
Yeah,
and that's the way it was. We were happy with that because that's what we wanted to do. And we had the fire in our bellies, I had the fire in my belly, and that's what I wanted to do. And we met loads of lovely people. Most of the gigs were fantastic. Some were a bit, for one reason or another. But and we steered clear of drink and drugs in the main, and kept clean. Really enjoyed ourselves early days. Really fantastic stuff.
I guess if you're doing that many gigs, it's difficult to indulge too much, if you're on the road all the time.
I was doing a lot of driving as well, personally. I had 2 or 3 mates that were our road crew, and it felt a bit unfair only paying them like 25 quid a day each. It went up to 50. It went up to 50 in 1989 after we got a deal.
There you go.
The lifestyle, though, isn't it? Right?
It was the lifestyle. No other reason than that, really. I personally, and I know WIZ did, struggled with the business side of it.
Yeah.
Doing interviews for the music rags papers.
Yeah.
You know, they always wanted an angle, and it's like, well, we haven't got an angle.
Yeah.
You know, we honestly haven't got an angle. We just want to. We understand we have to do this publicity. It's all part of the machine.
Yeah. I mean, it's terrible these days, isn't it? I mean, with the whole social media thing, it must be a nightmare for bands. So.
I follow bands on Facebook, and I just get sick of it.
Yeah, it's too much, right?
Day after day. Oh, new post tomorrow. News tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Put it all up. You know.
I mean, and that's amazing.
Nauseating.
That's the amazing thing about that era. There was none of that. There's no internet, nothing, you know. So it was literally word of mouth, and more people coming to the gigs, and word of mouth. Their friends come to the gigs, and all that, wasn't it? Right?
It was a completely different vibe, wasn't it? I mean, on the touring front, no sat navs, no mobile phones.
No.
You know, buy maps.
Yeah, buy a map.
Yeah, just guess how long it took to get there. You know, but roughly 50 miles an hour on a trip.
Yeah,
average. Yeah, things are very, very different. I mean, I'm still touring now as a sound engineer and tour manager for various bands, and it does my head in. I'm ready to retire. I'm 58 this year, and
you've earned it. You've earned it.
Yeah, I've been touring since 1985, and the tour managing aspect, gazillions of emails backwards and forwards before the actual gig. You know, whereas before. Paul Bolton, as I mentioned earlier, just used to give us an itinerary. There you go, lads, off you go.
You have to do like risk assessments and stuff these days, do you?
Well, luckily I don't have to get too involved in that, but you know, I look after sort of artists, as it were, like getting from A to B. But like airports now after Brexit, you know. All the organising, it's just. You know, it's just sort of, God, it's not fun anymore. I'll be honest. It's enjoyable, but it's not as much fun as it was.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, that's my little mini moan over.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
I think you're right, though. I think that time was like it was the last sort of era before mobile phones, the internet, and all that sort of thing. And I don't think you'll ever get a lot of that back. You know, it was just a special time.
I like to call it the analog era.
Right.
As opposed to the digital age that we're in now.
Yeah.
It was supposed to make things more fun. But maybe it is for the kids. I don't know. The kids, I suppose kids have got their video games and
different
everything.
world, isn't it?
I'm like a real old git now, aren't I?
No, we're all the same, man. We're not far behind, don't worry.
I'm still in the analog era, as you can see. Back to Mega City 4. I think like the first time we became aware of him, because we're a little bit younger, so probably around like 1990, and we were 14, 15. And I know the first time I became aware of him was seeing the logo everywhere. Like we started going to like the free festivals they had down in Brighton, and everyone seemed to be wearing a Mega City 4 t-shirt. And it just looked as cool as fuck to me, basically. Can you tell us about how the logo came about and all of that?
Yeah, it's very straightforward. That was designed by the Capricorn drummer.
Right.
The band we were in just before. In fact, I think there might have been a bit of a crossover there. He was a graphic art student, I think, at Basingstoke Tech. That's where Daddy met him, actually.
Yeah.
And he became our drummer. He designed the logo. So he might have even done the first. I don't think he ever did any gigs with Megas. But he designed the logo anyway.
Yeah.
It came up in a recent interview, and I was saying, "Oh yes, he never charged us for it," and so I'm expecting an invoice. And he actually lives in New York.
If he'd have gone on commission for each t-shirt sold, he'd have been a millionaire by now, wouldn't he?
He heard the podcast and he sent me a message, no invoice.
Yeah, you're off the hook
for that. In fact, well, this is funny enough. I've got one here. Original.
Yeah,
there it is.
Is it the right way round for you? This back to front.
Yeah,
no, that's right. That's
right. Yeah.
It seemed like that's an original 7-inch of miles apart.
Nice.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
It seemed that like t-shirts were almost as important as the records back then, because you were part of a tribe. Do you know what I mean? You had to show your colours.
Definitely for Neds Atomic Dustbin.
Neds,
the long sleeves.
We didn't sell anywhere near what they sold, they became, they were the must-have T-shirt.
I do remember that. Yeah, the Neds.
We were might buy a T-shirt if it's the right price.
Yeah.
They were we'll have it. They'd open a box and they were just flying. Although that kind of caught on, and people started buying more of our stuff, but we couldn't compete with the amount of T-shirts they sold. And to be fair, I mean, we didn't really make much money to our detriment. We didn't put much of a markup because we were sort of like minor threat to Ian Mackay,
Sure. Well, he refused to even make T-shirts, so yeah.
Well, exactly. So do we have to make T-shirts again? One of those business things. We might put like a quid or two on top of the price.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with being in a band, is that for most bands it's all about the fans. You don't want to be sort of charging them loads of money for a T-shirt and stuff, but it's a business at the end of the day, I guess, as well, isn't it?
It is. I mean, now bands have to sell merch.
That's all they get their money from, right? Yeah.
That's all they get their money from. Yeah, again, it's all changed, isn't it? No CD sales. Spotify's fucked it.
Yeah.
So it's ticket sales and T-shirt sales.
Yeah. One thing that did come up when I was speaking to Ben is he said that because obviously they Mark spent a lot of time sort of growing their fan base and making a community with the Senseless Things fans, and he said he got a lot of that sort of ideal from WIZ. I think that you guys really try to build a community with your fans, so it's like a just everyone together sort of thing. Is that something that was really important to you guys?
Yes, we used to get letters from all over the world because we used to. I think even this has got our address on it, hasn't it?
Your actual address on it?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's got like MC4 info, 9 Medway Drive.
There you go.
So far, so all these
send you a letter.
Yeah.
Was that just your house?
Yeah, to our
address.
House.
Yeah.
WIZ did the meat of it. He loved it. He loved it. He loved writing and reading, so he did the majority of the letter writing. But just everyone that
so he actually wrote letters back to the fans.
He wrote letters back in pen.
Wow, crazy.
And so about 4 or 5 a day, I would suppose.
Really?
Wow. We all did it, but WIZ did the majority of it because he loved it. And so everyone that sent us a letter got a personal reply.
See, that's
of some kind from one member of the band, usually WIZ. But we had some weird ones, as you can imagine.
Yeah, but imagine being like a Mega City 4 fan and you get a letter back from
handwritten
guys in a
back,
band.
Right?
That's
yeah.
It's a touch.
I think that was again, that was probably maybe part of the charm. But we didn't really know of any way different, really.
I think that's it's probably the right way to go about things. But
I think not every band did that. That's above and beyond.
Do you think? Eventually, when we signed to Big Life after the first 2 albums, signed to Big Life, and then they started doing that, putting a postcard in.
I used to send them back.
Join a mailing club, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then you just get sent out a mailing, a mailing list, a mailer of some kind, some shit.
Yeah. I mean, when you did get a bit bigger, you played with some pretty amazing bands and on some pretty big bills as well. Do you have any memories of any of that?
Well, my favourite, I mean, I used to love the Cramps, so we got asked to tour with the Cramps, and that was amazing. We almost blew them off stage in Birmingham, almost, which shocked me a bit because I was like, fucking hell, I can't be doing that. I really love this band. I've been to see them since the 80s, Hammersmith Palais and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But they're pretty difficult to upstage.
Yeah, they are. They are. I've got nothing really stands out. I mean, one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me is when we played the Reading Festival, 1990.
Right.
And
it was still all rock bands back then, right?
Yeah.
There was none of the. I mean, it's just like a normal festival now, isn't it?
It is.
Very much.
Well, it's just a kids flipping spring break now.
Yeah.
Again, that's the old man in me.
No,
went to every Reading Festival in the 80s from 80 onwards.
Yeah.
camping, being silly all weekend. So to play there, it was like, fuck it hell. When we got asked to do it 3 months before the actual gig, I couldn't sleep for 3 months.
Ah, it's big, isn't it? It's a big
deal.
What's that?
And then that day, Faith No More played, I think.
Oh,
that in 90, was that the 92 one? I can't remember if it was a 1991 or the 92 one. So we did it 2 years, didn't we? But either one of those years, sorry, my memory's a bit.
It's all right.
Watching Faith No More from by the side of the stage just after The Real Thing had come out.
Oh, mate. Yeah.
That's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
We were massive fans.
Yeah, big
what
Faith
a
No More
fucking
fans.
band.
Yeah.
And just, to sort of like be standing here and there.
Did you meet him afterwards or?
Only the bass player.
Yeah.
He borrowed one of my passes to get one of his mates in. But not really, no. They were a bit like us, I thought. They sort of kept themselves to themselves.
Yeah.
Very focused.
Yeah.
But fucking hell, man, they are fucking brilliant. I've never seen anything like
good
it.
Band. When we saw them, they supported Guns N' Roses at Wembley Stadium. Yeah, they were good band. Good band. Great.
Yeah, in that big arena, they were just amazing. Yeah.
I mean, he's a bit of a showman, old Mike Patton, isn't he? So
he was hanging upside down.
Yeah, he loved all that stuff.
Yeah.
You didn't do any of that then? You didn't do any of the hanging off the beams and stuff?
Not really. Did a bit of running and jumping around, but nothing too serious. No. It's difficult with a bass in your hand, really.
Yeah.
Did a bit of jumping on PAs here and there.
But yeah, so was the Reading gig, was it everything you expected? Was it a good crowd that day?
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Couldn't have gone better.
Yeah.
The 92 one didn't seem to go as well for me. I don't know why, but the 1991.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, no,
that was a highlight.
Ben said that they enjoyed their gig at Reading as well. I think they were I think that was after the sort of mid-90s. Yeah, Reading became, it's not really the same festival anymore, is it? It's
No, it's not. No, it's not a rock festival, is it?
No.
I think it's a grime festival now, isn't it?
Something like that.
Grime.
It's just the same as any other festival, and I think it's a shame because it was the rock festival, wasn't it? For rock bands.
Download's the one now, isn't it? The rock festival.
Yeah. Well, which is I still would like to go to Download, but I don't know.
I go virtually every year. I do sound for this guy called Jamie Lenman. He used to be in a band called Reuben.
Right.
You heard of Reuben?
Okay.
Not really. And, Luke, have you heard of him? Maybe.
No, I don't think so. No.
Reuben, check out Reuben. They're a really good band.
Oh no, I've heard of Reuben. I'm sure I have. Yeah.
Yeah, you must have heard of Reuben. And then he went off on his own, and I've been doing his sound and tour managing for him ever since. We do Download at least every 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I get to get my fill of metal, but God, there's some real cheese on there.
What, a Download?
A Download, okay, really?
Oh yeah, they have.
One of my kids loves Avenged Sevenfold.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Of course.
I saw them one year. It's a bit like Kiss without the decent songs. I'm sounding like an old man again. Sorry.
It's good.
There's no judgment here. There's no judgment.
No.
Big Kiss fans.
So you said you. I never got into them. I think we were just maybe 5 years too young. Maybe we never got the lunch boxes and all of that. We were never.
You missed them in their prime.
Yeah.
I
mean, I appreciate what they are, but I never got into them.
More of a Def Leppard fan myself back in the day.
Oh, you were, weren't you, Neil?
Blimey. I saw Def Leppard supporting AC/DC at Hammersmith Odeon in 1979. Bon Scott was on vocals.
Yeah, that's when Def Leppard was quite good, though, I think, weren't they, back then?
They were good, but they were a support band. There was hardly anyone in there.
Yeah.
Back in those days, no one watched a support band. And it was Rick Allen's 16th birthday. That's why I remember.
Oh, yeah, because he was super young.
Okay.
Yeah, he was super young.
That's when he had both up, back when he had both up.
Yeah.
Wow. 16, that's incredible. Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry, went off on a tangent there.
That's good, man.
Good.
It's all good.
They were a good band.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Luke always took the piss out of me, but I thought they were pretty good.
although I've got I think I've got Hysteria behind
there
me
you
somewhere.
go. You kept that on quiet.
I know.
Classic.
It's a great album. Great album.
So you say you do the sound engineering and touring and stuff. Do you see any kind of influence in the bands that are coming up now in what you were doing from Mega City 4 and everything like that?
Some bands. I don't really listen to a lot of modern music. I don't know if people have still got that ethic of just playing millions of live gigs. I assume they have, because that's the only way to make money now, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think a lot of the bands these days have like a full-time job, and the band's just something they do. I don't think there's that same ethic of just getting a van and go play everywhere.
But there's not the same government support system to allow that to happen, right? You know,
I'm guessing the only chance you've got now, unless you make it, until you make it financially viable to live on, is you have to stay living with your parents.
Yeah,
maybe work through the winter and then do as many festivals as you can during the summer, if you're lucky enough to get any.
I mean, yeah, even things like petrol prices. Like, imagine having to fill your van up with the prices now, and
right, yeah, it's ridiculous.
I
mean, there's a band called. Have you heard of the Lottery Winners?
No, the band, no.
Lottery Winners, yeah.
No, I haven't heard of them.
They've been supporting Wonderstuff and Sleeper and all sorts of, and they're really good. Their second album's about to come out. You can check them out if you like that sort of indie.
Yeah,
they just constantly tour. They're doing that.
Yeah.
There's a band called Snapped Ankles I quite like.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, they're quite good. And they seem to sort of spend all summer just touring around Europe playing festivals. And Deja Vu, they're quite good.
Yeah.
I think that is the. I think a lot of that has got lost, unfortunately. I think, but I'm sure there are some bands that still do it. But for it to be,
there are. But I can't think of any. I mean, all the bands I work for are sort of nostalgia bands.
Yeah.
70s, 80s, like Susie Quattro, Shakin' Stevens, and Sleeper, people like that. So the last time I worked for a modern band was back in 2015. I worked for a band called Nothing But Thieves for a while.
No, I remember them. Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah.
Are they still going, or?
I think they are.
Yeah.
Which was great. They were really nice, but I just couldn't keep up with the youngsters. You know what I mean? After 18 months of that, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Shakin' Stevens was the first record I ever owned, by the way.
Sorry?
Shakin' Stevens was the first record I ever owned.
Was it?
Was it?
Yeah.
Which one? Green Door?
Yeah, I mean, just like Shaky, the one with got the pink suit on the front with the black background, just looking just cool as fuck. Yeah.
I've been doing this sound since the 90s.
Yeah.
Wow, it's amazing.
And going out on tour again at the end of this year. I don't think we're coming to Japan, but we're going around the UK and Europe at the end of the year. And he's got a new single out, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
Still going.
Right. Still going.
I guess the other thing is that, well, you've probably seen this as well, a lot of venues closing down and stuff that bands used to play at. And that's also a bit of an issue these days.
It is. It's looking pretty grim on the grassroots venue front.
Yeah.
They were struggling anyway, and COVID put the final nail in the coffin for a lot of those venues. And the trouble is, I run a rehearsal room. It's been going 22 years. Obviously, at the beginning of COVID, we had to close down for on and off for a year and a half. But we got loads of grants from the government to pay rent and stuff, and a lot of these venues did. But now all the government funding's gone. This coming year is the first year. Well, last year actually was the first year we've had to go it alone again without any grants or anything, and we really struggled. And I can imagine what it's like for venues, because no one's really still going out unless they have to.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like a luxury now.
Myself, to be honest, including myself, I really got into that. I enjoyed that. lockdown period.
You
it
enjoyed
was like
it?
having a rest.
Yeah, I
I've
did.
been
I just took a year
been
off.
working
It's
my
quite
balls
nice.
off since I was 16. I left school and got a job at the bus company. I never stopped.
Yeah.
So what was I, 40, 50, 55? Yeah,
yeah.
40, 39. Is that right? 39 years of just running around, especially with the band as well.
Yeah.
Running around like a lunatic. I actually thought, yeah, fuck it. I can actually sit on the sofa.
Well, you have
not
to.
feel
That's
guilty.
good, isn't it?
Not feel guilty because there's no work to do. So there's no way I can feel guilty about it. So
yeah, I had a similar experience with it.
Opened a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
On the sofa, watch Netflix, and it was a really nice rest.
Yeah, no, I quite enjoyed the whole lockdown thing. I know a lot of people found it difficult, but yeah, for me it was. Yeah,
well, it still psychologically fucked my head up like most people, but
Yeah, it was a tricky one,
I actually trained as a volunteer vaccinator. That won't go down very well with some people, especially my missus, who's anti-vax.
It's fine.
So
you're entitled to have your view on it, So
yeah, I got bored, and St John's Ambulance were recruiting volunteer vaccinators, and I thought, well, I want to do my bit. I've sat on the sofa long enough.
Yeah,
did all the training, and then started.
Oh, you did the actual?
Yeah, I did the actual. Yeah. So I don't know if it does turn out it was poison. I've poisoned hundreds of people. Sorry about that, but I just thought I was doing the right thing.
You've apologised now. It's all right.
All those fans that you wrote letters to, you've probably also killed at the same time.
Yeah. Probably, let's say it's probably a bit of a sensitive subject because I know there's a lot of people anti-vax. One of my kids is anti-vax. My missus is anti-vax. And she's fine. I got COVID and I'm still fucked from it. And she didn't have the vaccine and she's absolutely fine. So I don't know. Maybe they did.
Who knows? I don't think we'll never really know, will we? So just do what you think's best, isn't it?
They'll never tell us.
All right, we've got a couple of questions from our Facebook group, if that's okay. There was a lot of love for Mega City 4 when we said we were going to be speaking to you. It was, yeah. Do you want to ask the first question? We've just got a couple of questions.
Yeah, let me just find it. Hang on. Right, so this one's from Jappa Moji. I hope I've pronounced that right. Probably wrong. What he said is, he asked if being in a band that's some form of success actually ends up still being enjoyable. So was it everything you wanted it to be? And did the machine grind you down?
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, I definitely had the fire in my belly, but the last couple of years was hard work. Right. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And eventually, and that took its toll on the band.
Was that record labels or?
Well, I'll make no bones about it. We got really popular, and then something else came along, so we started becoming unpopular.
See, Ben directly
grunge, basically
blamed it on Nirvana. Basically, killed the Senseless Things. So.
He blamed it on Nirvana.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, there's so many different factors. People just move on. People get bored. Maybe we just weren't releasing albums that weren't good anymore. I mean, Rush did all right, but they kept reinventing themselves, kind of.
Yeah.
I think Dave Bowie. All the long-standing. You've got to keep reinventing yourself, haven't you?
Having said that, you've still got a strong fan base, though, right? That came across when we asked the question. Like, the people have still got a lot of love for Mega City 4. So,
yeah, they seem to. I mean, I keep an eye on those pages, and I do run the official Mega City 4 one, which I hardly put anything on because can't be bothered. Well, I don't know. I just never think about it.
Yeah.
But because we stuck to our guns mainly and didn't, I don't think we sold out.
Yeah.
I think that one of the few bands, again, like, that sort of Ian MacKaye, Minor Threat Fugazi thing, maybe we did make a couple of bad decisions. But ultimately, we did a gig, we peaked in 91, 92, sold out the Astoria after we released Sebastopol Road, which I think was our finest piece of work.
I love Sebastopol Road.
And after that, it was just sort of kind of struggling, and until we paid a gig in Ipswich at the Drum and Monkey to like 50 people. I mean, we realised that day Well, that's it, isn't it? We always said to ourselves, if we don't become significant in people's lives anymore, then we were going to call it a day. And that's what we did. We all pretty much went down to job centre the next morning. Wiz went off to Canada to play with the Doughboys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And me, Wiz and Chris worked on a building site for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Pretty depressing time, got to say.
Yeah, a bit of a come down, I guess, but...
Yeah. But retrained as a sound engineer, and so I've been touring. So I'm always on tour. I just don't have to do this, all the.
Yeah, I mean, have you noticed part of the reason we started this podcast is there seems to be like a real 90s nostalgia coming through. Like people are rediscovering bands like Mega City 4. Maybe a new generation is going to listen to the music. Hopefully.
Yeah, I get a few people mention that to me, saying, "Oh, I was listening to the Megas the other day. You were ahead of your time," or so and so. You could have, if you released that now, you'd be massive, and this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, it's all by and by because it happened when it did. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see what they're saying. But I'm happy with what we achieved, and
it's a nice legacy.
It'd be nice to carry it on to now.
Yeah.
I've been working with a band called Sleeper from the 90s.
Yeah, I remember the Sleeper.
Yeah, of course.
And they're just so lovely, but they got together again 4 or 5 years ago, and they do the...
Are they from Brighton, Sleeper?
Shine On festivals and stuff like that. Yeah, they're from Brighton,
right. Yeah, Shine On Festival. I was going to... I've been trying to get them on the podcast to Shine On people, because those festivals are going down really well, right?
They go down very well.
Yeah.
And they're brilliant.
Yeah.
And considering, really, well, I suppose it's 25 years ago, isn't it? All that Britpop stuff.
Yeah.
But I always have a good time. Sleeper. Excuse me. Did a Sleeper and Blue Tones.
Yeah.
Dual header last year. Went down brilliantly.
Are they at Butlins? Are they the Butlins, or where do they host the Shine On festivals?
The festival is at Butlins,
Yeah.
Minehead.
So everyone just goes there, stays at Butlins, goes to watch loads of cool music, right?
It sounds really cheesy, but it's a really good venue. It's a massive indoor tent thing.
No, I film a Ska festival every year. It's a similar sort of thing. Everyone just sort of goes and hangs out in their caravans, and then they'll convene in the arena. But like the sound system there is amazing. I think they spend a lot of money on all that sort of thing at these festivals, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Rightly so. So
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
Have a little shitty speakers on sticks.
We've got a question. No, one more question from Facebook. Craig Scott. He said, "What was it like being in a band with siblings?"
Yeah.
Siblings? What you mean?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Oh my
Brown
God,
brothers.
Yeah. Always arguing and fighting. Yeah. I mean, Danny, I think, they used to piss each other off. Yeah, they're always going on about something. Not always. That makes it sound awful, doesn't it?
No,
they'd go off at each other all the time, and because they were siblings, they'd really, go for it. Whereas
proper ruck.
Me and Chris, if we had beef with, Wiz or Danny,
it's a bit different, right?
Just sort of mention it, and that would be it. But these, they'd go off. But that obviously went back to when they were young.
Yeah.
And I think their dad they had quite a strict upbringing from their dad as well. So, it was quite a fiery.
But
so when they were doing that, did you just stand at the side and let them get on with
it? Oh, absolutely, yeah. Best just go outside and have a fag or a cup of tea, leave them to it.
Yeah.
It's always something really stupid. You could see it building up over a few days, and then suddenly...
But it didn't transfer onto stage. There was no sort of gigs where they weren't talking to each other or whatever. Or maybe there was.
Possibly, not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
A couple of rows after gigs. I mean, Danny might see this, so you won't mind me saying that, but I'm pretty sure they had a row after at least one gig.
Oh, brothers,
I think there was a Powerhouse in London.
That's what brothers do.
And
what happened? What happened at the Powerhouse?
It was a girl thing. I don't know. Some girl showed up.
It's always the way.
I think Dan accused Wiz of seeing the girl in the audience and then starting to get really pissed off or something like that. I don't know. Oh, it really stupid. Probably not all that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it was generally okay though. Yeah, I can't say that they weren't at each other all the time. In answer to the question, they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to let you go in a sec. Speaking of WIZ, do you want to say a little bit about the forward for WIZ Trust? I was looking into it, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it's run by Karina Fraser, who was WIZ's partner at the time of his passing.
Yeah.
She started it to help grassroots artists, if you like.
Yeah.
And continue with in WIZ's good name.
Yeah, for sure.
To be honest, I don't do anything. I'm a president, and so's Danny.
Yeah.
So's Danny's wife and another one or two people, but I just haven't got time to contribute to it.
Yeah,
so Karina does everything.
Yeah.
She does all the fundraising and putting all the events on.
Yeah.
And Danny and Chris and I have given her carte blanche to print as many T-shirts as she wants, and all the money gets put into the trust.
Yeah.
And that's basically it, really.
Great. Yeah.
Is to help young aspiring musicians with contributing towards if they want to make a video or an album or a demo or some kind of event.
Oh, what a great way to keep his memory going then, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, Neil, do you want to ask the final question?
Right. Yeah.
And then we'll let you go. Thanks so much.
This is a bit of a feature. We just ask every band the same thing. If you could have been in any other band at the time, who would it have been and why?
Well, I've got a list.
Oh, go on.
Oh, come on. Great.
Get your list out.
It's actually a post I put on Facebook a few years ago. Top 10 bands I wish I'd played in.
For it. There we go.
Well, Wonderstuff.
Nice.
Def Leppard.
Faith No More.
Faith No More, yeah.
The Ramones. Oh, the Cataran. Oh my God. Scottish band. Cataran.
Don't know them. No. Okay.
Go on.
Lay Thugs from France. Those are the ones off the top of my head.
A pretty good list. Yeah.
But I mean, I was influenced by Jean-Jacques Brunel and Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, so I'd love to have been in the Strang. Well, I don't think I could have replaced them actually. I kept having this reoccurring dream that I'd go to an Iron Maiden concert, and before they started, they made an announcement over the PA saying, "Oh, we're really sorry, Steve Harris is ill. Is there anyone that can play bass?" And I know the first Iron Maiden album off by heart on the bass, and so I go and volunteer. And I end up playing.
It's going to happen.
Did you see them when they played at Download? Because they played Download a bit, don't they?
First saw them at Guildford Civic in about 1980, 1981.
I bet that was
Civic,
mental, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Diano on vocals as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I suppose Iron Maiden, but Wonderstuff, I think. One of the bands I'd like to have played bass for.
Yeah.
You in touch with them? Do you talk to the Wonderstuff much or?
Yeah, I did some driving for them a few years ago.
Did you?
On a tour. I had nothing to do. They contacted me and said, "Do you want to drive our van round for us?" I went, "Yeah, all right. Got nothing else better to do." I had a really good time with them. And
they're
Miles
still going strong, aren't they?
They are. Touring late this year, but Miles is genuinely a really, really nice guy. I know he comes across as an arrogant shit to a lot of people, and like John Lydon does. But he's.
I know John Lydon's got a sensitive side. I think
there's more to him than meets the eye.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Wonderstuff.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you very much. I think that's it. Yeah.
What time is it in Tokyo?
It is 7:45 in the evening.
Yeah.
So
it's
not bad. Yeah.
Sorry, I look a bit tired. Like I say, I did have a bit of a
big night. It's all good, mate. We're all
really away for a week, so we always do that.
No, enjoy your time off, man. Thank you.
All right, Luke. All right, Neil. Have a lovely day.
Cheers, mate.
Enjoy the
Thanks
rest
a
of
lot.
your day.
Bye.
Toodaloo.
Bye.
Bye. So there we go. There's Gerry from Mega City 4. What a lovely chap.
That was my first note. Lovely bloke! ! That was my first note.
I used
There
the
you
word
go.
chap, but you know.
Are there any other synonyms? Chap, bloke, guy, top geezer.
Dave,
Fella,
fella,
Yeah, that works.
Geese.
That works.
geezer, yeah. Really interesting guy. Dave, you weren't in the interview. What did you take from it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I don't know why I said it earlier, but it just feels like what the podcast is about. That kind of interview. I'd just been a really friendly chat with someone important from that era. You know, from that era of bands we're talking about. So
Yeah, I agree. I like these episodes. Like we do the intro and the bit afterwards, but the main crux of every episode is the interview with the person. You know, and it's their stories from the time, their experiences of the time. That's why we don't cut any of the interviews.
yeah, just I don't have a lot of notes really. You know, kept a few notes while I was listening, but one I must have got it wrong. I thought he said he was born 1955, but that just doesn't add up. Must have been 65.
Well, that's an interesting one to bring up.
He can't be that old.
Interesting you pick up on his age.
Well,
Any-
born.
It's really irrelevant.
It is.
What other
Imagine
insights?
If it was 1955,
So,
he would have been in his 40s in the 90s.
Oh no.
so. Okay. What other piercing insights have you got for us?
Try and keep it on like music related or something.
Well, it's
Something
people
mildly
related, isn't it?
relevant.
What could be more relevant than age?
Well, I mean, Dave is right. I mean, if he'd have been 40 in 95, that would have been something, I guess. But the fact is he wasn't. Dave just misheard. So it's completely, like, irrelevant.
But did I mishear? That's the thing.
Okay.
But yeah, another note was he said how the record company wanted them to have some kind of angle, and he's saying, well, we haven't got an angle. Like the Levelers, for example, it was about much more than just the music. And maybe it wasn't cool to admit that you don't have an angle. So I thought that was quite a nice sort of frank, straight up comment to say,
Yeah, 'cause
I didn't have an angle, it was just the music.
Yeah, I don't think they were overly political. I could be wrong. I don't think they were. They were more just sort of poppy, sort of love songs, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I thought it was super interesting that he comes from a metal background. Like I said in the interview, that does not come through in the music whatsoever.
Not just him, but most of the band are all into metal, and then they did Mega City 4, which isn't.
Yeah.
How do you explain that then? It's mystery, isn't it?
No, I mean, just because that's what you listen to when you're a teenager doesn't mean you go on and have to do that thing, does it? There's lots
I mean,
lots
the
of
Lighthouse
music out
family can't have made that sort of music. Where did they get their reference from? Because nothing was that shit before, was it?
But yeah, but imagine that if the Lighthouse family, it turned out they were all into metal.
there. They were into Entombed.
Yeah. It would be a surprise, wouldn't it? To say the least.
It would.
Well,
I mean, there's
would it
less of
put
a
you
jump
off?
from Motorhead to Mega City 4 than Motorhead to Lighthouse Fam. There's less of a jump, though, isn't it?
So you say.
It's just an opinion, I guess, but I would sort of probably side with Luke on that one.
I really liked his comment, senseless things plus snuff equals Mega City 4. That's good. That was cool.
And interesting that they used to tour together as well.
Yeah.
So you had all that, right?
Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
What do you mean by snuff?
What did you come
It's
on
not-
for today?
It's not one of your... Dave, it's not one of your films. Snuff is like... they were like another kind of pop-punk band. They kind of were a little bit tongue-in-cheek. They had like, comedy kind of song titles, but they were much kind of faster than Mega City 4 in the Senseless Things. More kind of a punked up, kind of faster sound, but they very much kind of tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, and
basically.
Ben from the Senseless Things, when we asked our question at the end, they were the band that he wanted to be in if he hadn't been in the Senseless Things.
Oh, yes, of course.
Capiche?
Got it.
Again, talking about the Senseless Things, like his comment that it just fell apart so quickly, and the audiences stopped coming, and that was it. You know, he didn't blame Nirvana, but he did say that, you know, people just moved on, and it's really interesting, right?
It almost sounded like it was overnight. Sebastopol Road. It's quite a big album. That was their biggest sort of album.
It reached number 41 in the charts, which is good. You know, it's really good.
Yeah, for an indie band, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But then, a couple of years later, they're playing in front of 50 people, and as he said, that was it. They knew when it came to that it wasn't something they just want to carry on just for the sake of doing it. If people don't want to listen to it, then fair enough.
Was it a bit like that for you with Main Street now?
Kind of, you know, when we went from audiences of 4 down to 2, that was probably the turning.
It just wasn't worth it anymore, right? I mean, when you're riding high on that 4, man, and suddenly you look out and there's only 2.
Yeah, we played in front of 8,000 people once, supported the Cheeky Girls, Bournemouth firework night.
Wow, that's really good.
Did you meet the Cheeky Girls?
Yeah.
Were they cheeky?
Very cheeky.
I bet they were.
Cheeky little fuckers they were. No, they were riding high on their Cheeky Girls fame at that point. They were big then. And yeah, we supported them. So, fuck you. But yeah, usually...
That's impressive.
Usually gigs were, in front of not that many people. Going back to your point, though, I think, although it was you were taking a piss out of me, I think most bands do get to a point where, you know, enough's enough. You've just done all you can and time to move on.
Yeah, I guess it's knowing when to do it, right?
Yeah, when it stops becoming fun, usually, that's when people stop doing it, you know.
I thought it was really cool, I guess because of his job. I think it's really cool that he's kind of retained, he seemed to still have like a real enthusiasm for music, right, in the interview.
Yeah,
Gerry. And I think
across,
that, I guess his job kind of does that. Like he mentioned like the lottery winners, who I didn't know at the time, but in those months since then, they've got quite a bit of traction.
When we did that, I remember us both thinking, I haven't really heard of those, but they've definitely, I'm the same, I've definitely heard of them since then. There's been, I can't remember on what, but there's definitely been some. Yeah,
they're getting quite a bit of press these days, and I think it's really cool. He's just retained his passion for music, and he, you know, is with up to date new bands and stuff, and it's really cool to hear, you know.
Yeah, and he's well into that Shine. This is becoming a recurring thing, but he's really into the Shine On Festival and stuff.
You guys have got to go, man. You two have got to
try. If anyone from Shine On is listening to this podcast, by the way, I have sent a few emails. Yeah, we'd love to come down and maybe interview some of the bands and interview the organisers, and it'd be really good to find out a bit more about the festival, because the people on our Facebook page are really into it, and you know, it's just all the bands that we're talking about on the podcast, so it'd be really good to come down.
It's pretty soon though, right?
I think it's November.
Isn't it? Yeah.
You got to get there. You got to get there.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try. Like you say, he's still involved in the music scene, which I think is quite important to him. He seems quite into that side of things. I just thought it was great. The address is still on the back of that record and stuff, because that's what they used to do, right? People used to write to bands and they wrote back.
Yeah, that was sweet, wasn't it?
WIZ would write 4 or 5 letters a day. It's crazy, right? It's amazing.
I mean, I guess it's similar to bands interacting with their fans on social media now. I guess that's the way they do it now. It's a similar thing, but...
Oh, man, there's a world of difference between sitting on the toilet and putting a thumbs up on someone's Facebook post and sitting down with a pen and a paper, putting it in an envelope, going to the post office, buying a stamp. There's a world of difference, you know?
So, yeah, that's it for Mega City 4.
Thanks, Gerry.
If you're watching on YouTube, then please do comment below. Let us know your favourite Mega City 4 track or your favourite Mega City 4 gig, or just chat generally about Mega City 4 below. Love to get another conversation going on Mega City 4. If you're listening, then give us a rating, leave us a review. Yeah, please do that, because it really does make a difference. I know some of you have already, but yeah, if you could just leave us a rating and a review, it helps the podcast get found.
Don't forget the playlist that accompanies it, or I'm trying to change and call it a mixtape rather than a playlist. Don't forget the mixtape that accompanies it. But I need to apologise because it's not my fault, but The first 2 albums are not on Spotify, so I've had to find. I managed to find some live versions of tracks from those first 2 albums to put on there. But yeah, the first 2 are not on there. So it's not the perfect playlist that I wanted to make, but it's still a good listen. So yeah, have a listen.
Definitely check those playlists out. On every episode, Luke puts together a playlist. As Dave said last week, he thinks that they should get more recognition, which I agree. I think that they're a part of the episodes we put together. And, listen to the episode and then save the playlist till the weekend. Put it on at the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, do a bit of gardening, put on the playlist.
Definitely do listen to those playlists because Luke spends a fair bit of time on those as well. Dave, who have we got next week?
Compulsion.
Correctamundo. I didn't think you'd know.
You said earlier.
Oh. So yeah, next week we've got Sid from Compulsion on. That's another highly anticipated episode. A lot of people in the group are excited for that one.
Dave, you know what to do.
See you next week.
Why has it changed?
That's not right. It's a shit sign off, but you've got to do it forever now.
See you in a minute.